Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh, Calling La Adonai Yahweh, Bashim Shamlak Yahweh, Bashim Kakdash, the honest apostle and ultimate millstone, peace of teaching, for elect, Shalom. And I made title this video, the U.S. economy is literally done for. Yeah. And in this article from the Yahoo Finance, posted on June 15, 2023, at 8:55 a.m., it says, a natural way to diversify. Janet Yellen now says Americans should expect a decline in USD as the world's reserve currency. What's really going on? How can you prepare? This was from Bethan Marcraft, and even the title of the video that they put in this article was "Fed decides to pause impact on investors, markets." It says the U.S. dollar saw an 8% decline in its share of global reserves in 2022, causing some to question whether the dollar's days of dominance are over. Treasurer Secretary Janet Yellen, and by the way, she's the Treasurer Secretary of the Federal Reserve, which is an institution that all brothers know, the spirit that, and even other people that consider themselves to be, knowing truth about the Illuminati and things of that nature and about the 1%. We know that the Federal Reserve is pretty much controlled by the private bankers, which are obviously the ones who control the government, like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers and things of that nature. But anywho, it says Janet Yellen gave her 2 cents on the matter of so-called de-dollarization during a congressional hearing on Tuesday, stating that no currency currently exists that could displace the greenback. And this is in bullet points. Rich young Americans have lost confidence in the stock market and are betting on these 3 assets instead. Get in now for strong long-term tailwinds. Here's how much money the average middle-class American household makes. How do you stack up? What do Ashton Kutcher and Nobel Prize-winning economists have in common? An investing app that turns spirit change into a diversified portfolio. While U.S. sanctions and foreign policy plays have inspired a backlash from China, Russia, and other prominent countries who are keen to dethrone the dollar, Yellen remains adamant that it will not be easy for any country to devise a way to get around the dollar. She did, however, warn that the dollar's share of global reserves may continue to decline as countries look to diversify. Here's why the topic of de-dollarization is front and center today, and what you can do if you're worried about the strength of the dollar. Impact of U.S. sanctions. The dollar's dominance in global trade and capital flows date back at least 80 years, not just because the U.S. is the world's largest economy, but also because oil and other essential commodities are priced in the greenback. However, recent events, including the Fed's aggressive rate hikes to stem domestic inflation, the trade war with China, and the U.S. sanctions enforced after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, have caused more countries to call for trade to be carried out in other currencies besides the U.S. dollar. At the 14th BRICS summit last year, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced measures to create a new, in quote, international currency standard. Meanwhile, China has been urging oil producers and major exporters to accept yuan for payments, and major oil exporter Saudi Arabia has said it's, in quote, open to the idea of trading other currencies. Even longtime allies like France have made non-dollar transactions since the U.S. ramped up its sanctions. In April, French President Emmanuel Macron said Europe must reduce its dependence on the U.S. dollar in order to keep its strategic autonomy and avoid becoming vassals subordinate to America. When quizzed on the impact of these trends in front of the House Financial Services Committee, Yellen admitted that the U.S. sanctions have motivated some countries to seek out currency alternatives, but she was adamant the greenback will remain dominant. Read more. Americans refuse to let higher price derail their travel plans. 10 tactics to keep your summer vacation on budget. And it says, the quote, the dollar plays the role it does in the world financial statement for very good reasons that no other country is able to replicate, including China. She said, "We have deep, liquid, open financial markets, strong rule of law, and an absence of capital controls that no country is able to replicate." Um, the dollar as a reserve currency, when asked if the dollar's international status is declining, Yellen said she sees virtually no meaningful workaround for most countries for using the dollar as a reserve currency. And quote, "We should expect over time a gradually increased share of other assets and reserve holdings of countries, a natural desire to diversify, but the dollar is far and away the dominant reserve asset." According to the data from the IMF's currency composition of foreign exchange reserves, the US dollar accounted for 58.36% of global foreign exchange reserves in the fourth quarter last year, and second place was the euro, accounted for about 20.5% reserves. Meanwhile, the Chinese yuan, which some think it's the biggest threat to the dollar, accounted for 2.7% of reserves in the same period, and nearly a third of that is held by Russia, according to a 2022 IMF paper. While the de-dollarization efforts are clearly underway, most financial commentators share Yellen's view that the dollar will retain its throne. Eurizon SLJ Asset Management strategists published a note in April where they acknowledged the exceptional decline in the dollar's market share in 2022 due to sanctions taken by the U.S. and its allies against Moscow. But they added, the dollar, and quote, "The dollar will likely continue to enjoy dominance as an international currency for a while longer." Likewise, Fitch Solutions said it doesn't expect a, end quote, "paradigm shift anytime soon, given that there's no feasible alternative to the US dollar for international trade." Are you worried about a decline in the USD? Whether the dollar is replaceable or not, you may be worried about how economic volatility, high inflation, and stock market uncertainty could be impacting your own dollars, especially your retirement fund. Why not look to foreign central banks for inspiration? In the past year, central banks worldwide have been ditching their dollar reserves in favor of gold. In the first quarter of this year, central banks added 228.4 per ton to gold and new quarterly record to their reserves, according to the World Gold Council. Gold is a great alternative because, unlike the US dollar, which has lost a 98% of its purchasing power since 1971, gold's purchasing power remains more stable over time. You can get a piece of gold of this gold action by opening a gold IRA, a type of individual retirement account that allows you to invest gold and other precious metals in physical forms like coins instead of stocks, mutual funds, and other traditional investments. Alright, just pretty much what I want to have on that. Other than that, like, the point is pretty much made in this article. So I would like to show the other article. Like, it goes into how, mortgage rates are ranking up, and I'm not really gonna read it because I just want to just get to precepts of this video, so I'm not gonna really go into the other article like in depth of it. So if y'all wanna, I'll try to post a link and see if you guys could, look for it on you read it yourselves. And what you call it? It says in this article, Fed pauses interest rate hikes, but high mortgage rates could be here to stay. And inside it says the mortgage rates unlikely to decline in the short term despite Fed rate pause. So, and it even says down here that the U.S. economy is hotter than the Fed wants it to be. But I'll just, like I said, you can read this article for yourselves, and I'll just post the link in the description. Now I'll bring out some scriptures, and Lord willing, make this lesson edifying. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 4 says, "Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness is delivered from death." Exactly. So all these people that have all that money, they're starting to pretty much experience like inflation on a whole time high, and it's like their money is becoming less valuable than ever, and it's pretty much putting a lot of investors in fear, because like when you have so much to lose in this pretty much like in this world, of course, and the Most High ain't dealing with you, you best believe that your whole investment is in this country, America, or wherever you're investing your money at. And honestly, this is what people in this world, that's all they got, you know? So when everything goes to shit, they're gonna really see themselves like devastated, you know? Because we're talking about like just people in this world in general, especially even our people that sold out, you know? They're gonna experience the worst end of it because it's like the truth is out and they're supposed to, you know, be understanding this truth and trying to like, you know, get right with the Lord. But a lot of these people, nah, they rather sell out and pretty much chase the dollar. But I got news for you. Dollar's crashing and it's declining. And the US dollar has um, pretty much been harmful to other countries around you. You could see other countries' economies are in, let's say, a bad uh, state because of the dollar, you know? And imagine when all these other countries start rejecting USD, you know, and you got the US imposing sanctions on other countries and shit like that, trying to hurt their economy just to benefit, um, and also exploiting resources from other countries as well. You know, the US has been a bully for so damn long, and these other nations, they're gonna start fighting back. It's already prophesied on what they finna do to this country, you know. So the US has been a bully for so long, and it's about time that other countries are gonna start pretty much putting America where they you know, where it belongs. And honestly, this country belongs to the lake of fire to be destroyed. And um pretty much like, yeah, so no matter how much money you have in gold and silver, that shit ain't gonna deliver you. The scriptures say that, you know, because in the end of the day, look what the Most High did in the famine in Samaria, right? When money was pretty much so scarce at that time, it got to the point where when the famine happened in the land, um, well, food was so scarce, Salakia, it got to the point where they had to spend pieces of silver for a donkey's head and for a dove's dung, and people were, you know, cannibalizing each other. And something like that is going to go down in the U.S. as well, because not only we're in the midst of, you know, all these interest rates going up, you know, inflation is going up at an all-time high. So you also got the dollar declining at the same time. So yeah, and consumer price index, of course, that's going up as well. So like honestly, keeping this economy pushing further is just only just kicking a can across the road, and it's just like it's pretty much like a snowball effect as well, like brothers say. You know, that snowball just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then as it goes down, you know, and that's pretty much how it is. The dollar's declining down in a downward slope, and it's like it's just causing more and more and more and more issues. You know, just keeping this economy alive is honestly, there's no point. So they might as well just shut everything down, to be honest, and go along with the reset plans, because this country's this debt in this country is also, you know, like top of the ceiling, you know, and then it's like there's no point in making a society go longer than it should. You know, everything is all through the spirit of the Heavenly Father. So, you know, let me bring out more precepts that goes along with this lesson as well. And in Zephaniah chapter 1, pretty much get down to verse 17. The Lord said, "And I will bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord, and their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as dung. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. Right? So scriptures say your silver and gold cannot be able to deliver you. And that's real money. And this is just examples of money as well too. And then it's like when it's coming to the US dollar, it has been stripped of the gold and the silver value, you know, because at one point before Franklin Delano Roosevelt, before he set that executive order, you know, to remove the making all the sale of gold illegal and to remove the US dollar from the gold standard, and same thing with the silver. And then eventually they did it when Woodrow Wilson, when he signed the Federal Reserve Act, you know, before Franklin Delano Roosevelt was put in, and you know, as president, Woodrow Wilson signed that Federal Reserve Act, and what had happened was that caused money to decline in value more than ever. So that's how the dollar's like lost 98% of its value to this day, and it's just, you know, pretty much leading and on its way to, you know, pushing for that, you know what, for the CBDC. And then there's even some articles saying that over 90% of the world's money is digital and 10% of it is physical. So all the money that's in everyone's account is not printed in existence. And then that's another thing too, you know, because we already know resources are limited, you know, every organization's resources are limited. And one thing is like, the money that you see on a computer screen is not really all that printed in existence, you know. Sometimes you have some banks, they run out of, you know, just say dollar bills, $10 bills, $100 bills, and so forth. And it's like, one thing when it's coming to the money itself, it's like, it's pretty much like not even valuable because it comes from trees, you know. Basically it's paper. So, and paper has no intrinsic value, you know. So they could already go as far as like hyperinflating everything at this point, just from the simple fact that the US dollar is declining and other nations are starting to invest now in gold, and they're starting to try to get rid of that dollar. You know, it gradually happens, you know, because the US is pretty much a bully, and you know, they're gonna try to want to keep their the yokes on these other nations' necks, in the sense of like trying to control their economy. And that's another fucking problem about the US, is like they're so worried about other nations' issues that they're not even worried about their issues, you know? You got fucking transgender um military leaders in the fucking military, and they working on pushing all these LGBTQ rights in this country, you know, causing nothing but mass confusion um amongst children in this country. And it's just a whole bunch of madness going on here. And then they focus so much on the wrong things. Like, you got other nations out there actually really preparing for World War III and preparing for, you know, taking this white man um out of, you know, the power seat by sending them nukes to America, because pretty much America is like honestly the capital of the world, in the sense of um you know, the military power that America has, and the influence that they also have over the whole world when it's coming to you know, the economy and things of that nature, you know. But I'll get into other precepts as well before I close out. So this is Ezekiel 7. It says, verse 17, all hands shall be feeble, and all knees shall be weak as water. They shall also gird themselves with sackcloth, and horror shall cover them. And shame shall be upon all faces, and baldness upon all their heads. They shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. Exactly. So no way when the um, economy collapse, like there's no way that these people are going to like satisfy their souls, you know. And this is when obviously the mirth is pretty much going to be darkened and taken away from the earth, you know. Um, so people talking about how the C-19, that pandemic, which people are complaining about, oh, how the economy was pretty much, you know, doing bad, and mainly they were mostly concerned about the fact that they couldn't really do anything. Like a lot of places were closed down, restaurants, movie theaters, and there was just so much shit that happened, and you had to stay in your home, you had to quarantine, and people were complaining about that, thinking that it felt like hell for them. And honestly, like being in this truth, I felt completely calm. You know, it was like a little, obviously, a prelude to they're, what the government is really trying to do. You know, this time. So when they coming down with the second lockdown, you best believe they're gonna come down harder. You know, and these people, they're not gonna have what it takes if they felt like they couldn't even almost get through the first lockdown. You know, um, and that's the thing about what you call it. A lot of these people is like they were still they still didn't want to get to understand this truth in a sense, because it's like, and they still go back to their wickedness after the economy went back up. So it's like it shows you that that scripture that goes on how in second Ezra, I think it was the 16th chapter, it says something about like how these people won't be mindful of the scourges, you know. um and it shows you that like the Most High could allow something to happen and he could pull it back and show you these people will still continue to be wicked, and why the Most High really got to go hard and destroy. And this is 2/3 of our own people we're talking about mainly. And you know, then the only way to really prepare in this time is like not financially, it's spiritually, you know, because their truth ultimately is an investment. You preparing carnally is pretty much like scriptures say, like your the treasures on this earth is pretty much moth eaten and corrupt. Yeah, because at any point in time it could be stolen, it could be destroyed, it could be um basically it's what you call it, those resources that you have for it being like tangible, like it pretty much could be like stolen from you, you know, and eventually it could lose in value, like scriptures say. Like that's what's gonna happen to the money, you know. But at least when you have this truth is ultimately an investment. You know, you put in your time, your dedication towards the truth, listening to the words and doing the works, things of that nature. You know, the Lord gonna look out for you. You know, and eventually it's gonna be the best investment, because while the economy is down, while everybody is pretty much looking for answers, mainly like what scripture said, there's a crying for wine in the streets. You know, you ain't gonna be crying for that wine because you already have it. You know, it's within you. You know, people gonna be looking for you for the answers. People gonna be trying to seek you for, you know, salvation because of what you know that they don't know. You know, and you're gonna be looked at as the most expensive, um, most valuable, you know, stock. You know, so at the time where people didn't invest in this truth and this knowledge while it was at its lowest, it's like an investment. You know, during the time of Jacob's trouble where everything goes to shit, basically all these stocks people invest in, all the, you know, assets people try to invest in, when it goes all the way down because the economy collapsed. Now this truth, the value of this truth is gonna go up, you know, and then people gonna look at you like you're, that's the whole point of the Most High saying that he's gonna make his men, you know, um more precious than fine gold, even more than the golden wedge of Ophir. Because at that time, you think you're going to really care about having gold when money don't mean shit during the time of the famine and Jacob's trouble? No. People going to care about, um, you know, those that have the answers. And that's the men of the Lord. That's teaching this truth diligently and sincerely, you know? And you're going to pretty much be very highly valued in that time. And especially on top of it as well, having that divine protection. Because when you have this truth, the Lord is going to really provide for you and also provide you the Maslow hierarchy of needs, you know? You're going to have all that access to, all of that. And that's what mostly these women are going to see. They're going to be seeking that, and even some guys too. They're going to be seeking for protection. They're going to be trying to get down with you, trying to be like, trying to be cool with you, trying to be your friend for that protection. Some of them may even be down and going as far as trying to give you their, their siblings or their female siblings or probably their daughters or even their their girlfriend or whatever the case is, just for them to get saved by you, you know. And this is what's it pretty much going to come down to when it comes to the truth. And even then, it's like a lot of times their girlfriend or their wife or whatever might leave them for the man or Lord, shit like that will happen. So ultimately, the society is going to shit. Well, the economy. Then eventually, when the money goes down, of course, the society is going to go down. It's going to reflect on the society because what leads a nation is not only the politics, but it's also money. So, I mean, they say money is the root of all evil in general. So, and this whole country is led by evil. And this is like the most apex level of evil and wickedness that's going on in this country. So, the Most High has a judgment for all that wickedness. And that's what Jacob's trouble. So, other than that, I hope I made the lesson edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Adonai Yahweh, Bashem Malaki Yahushua, Bashem Makakadash, the honors of the apostles and elders, great millstone, peace, citation, hope for elect. Yahweh Bashem Shah, Babakashash, Lakaryam, Anawam, Yam, Wakawayam, Wa, Ababa, Shalom.